Cheers. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. Oh, lovely. Yeah, that's the American wheat. Spot on still. Done with the crystal bison. It's just lovely. I'm really starting to enjoy that drink. It's a bit of a shame because the cake's about to kick very, very soon, no doubt. What's to talk about? Well, last night I watched Big Banana's video. I can imagine a lot of you already have. His thoughts on homebrewing. So that I do one. Now, I haven't seen the original video, the SJ Paw video, as I don't watch SJ Paw. I'm not a big fan of the MAGAs in this world, so I don't bother watching him. However, I do watch Mr. Stephen Burton, as I have to say, he's a very nice man. Had a few beers with him a few times now, and had a good laugh, and he's a nice guy. So, my thoughts on homebrew, how it is, where it's gone, what's been going on, and that. I thought I might have a chat about it whilst drinking this lovely beer. Homebrew. Why do I do homebrew? Well, basic answer is I'm a functioning alcoholic and I need to drink. And to drink such a variety of lovely beers is expensive. So I decided to brew my own. Starting at about age, I've been 18, just got to university and bought a big kit from Boots. At the time, Boots Pharmacy in the UK always sold kits, brewing equipment and stuff. And so I bought a bucket and a tin, some bottles, and all the bits and pieces needed to make beer. And it was an absolute disaster, as you expect. I was no more patient then than I am now, and I had some right bombs. Some right fizz bombs that weren't that beery. Anyway, jumping forward a number of years, maybe 10 years now, 10 years ago, I bought another kit, Cooper's kit this time. I think I bought it online. So here's the difference. Yeah, or did I buy it at the local department store? We've got a department store thing called Boise's in the north east of the UK, and it is pretty much like a department store. They sell everything from paint to toys to fishing rods to brewing equipment. I think I probably actually got it from there. This was like a keg barrel, one of those plastic barrels with a load of bottles and a tin, and I made beer with that, and then bought a few more kits. They were all right. They're nothing amazing. Once again, I waited properly this time for the full amount, and they weren't as bad. Left it a bit longer again. Didn't really do much with it. Went into the attic. Went to a friend's house for a few beers one night, and he had some cider he'd made, and we drank that, and it was lethal. And then I said, well, have you been doing it? And we just did a bit of a chat about brewing. So I came away all excited about brewing again, so I started again, and that'll be maybe 7 years ago now, 7, 8, and that's been it since. I've then upgraded from doing kits and tins and cider recipes, turbo ciders and all that, to all grain. And I really wasn't keen on the idea of doing all grain because I knew the kit was expensive and the missus would go mental if I went and bought one. So I went and bought one and a shed, and the missus went mental. But I had the stuff, so I didn't care. That's the way I've kind of done this. All this is been right. The missus is going to say no if I ask her, so if I just get it, I'll get bollocked, but I'll have it. So I've done that really most of the way through. And yeah, she has bollocked me a few times for things, and she brings it up now and then. But I've got it, so I don't mind. Yeah, anyway, enough of that, my family's strife, wedded bliss. Homebrew shops. So as I said, Boots the pharmacist used to be a seller in our town of beer equipment. It no longer is. The nearest actual homebrew shop is about 50 miles away, and it does just kits and the still spirits stuff. It's in a kind of a rundown area of Newcastle. I was going to say Middlesbrough. On me, it's in quite a rundown part of Middlesbrough, and kits and spirits just fits the area really. It's a busy shop, right in the local area, and yeah, that's all the woman that runs it. That's all she's happy doing, and it works for her. So not really worthwhile for me going there now. Don't get grains, even the yeast choices are poor. The department store, as I mentioned before, Boise's, they do some kits, but that's it. They do kits and some yeast choices, and get SO4 and USO5 there, and maybe some wine yeasts. They do wine kits as well, a couple of wine kits. Other than that, there's a health food shop that does a few things, kits again. No one does anything for all grain, but that's that. So I always bought online, and Malt Miller has been the place of choice for me, and you can see that prices there have gone up, but prices everywhere have gone up. Now, the quality of service there is second to none. The quality of choice there is second to none. But you always worry that when something like ingredients and stuff becomes, a shop becomes so big, and it becomes the market itself, and only them, obviously you worry about, is there any what's the word for it? Any competition, that's the word. There's no competition, so prices are as they are. Now, they are pricey, we all know that, but you get the choice and service, and the quality is, I'd say, you can't beat them for it. I mean, the small suppliers can do this, that and the other, and that's great. Obviously, I'm talking about ingredients wise. If you're buying kit itself, it's different things. That's a different area altogether. Yeah. So there is the ability now with social media and stuff to find out, get better prices, but prices have gone up generally for homebrew, and whether that's to do with Ukraine, obviously grain prices have been hit hard with the war in Ukraine. Obviously, it was the breadbasket of Europe, all that area. So yeah, price of food, bread, and everything's gone up in this bloody country anyway, as it is. But yeah, generally, everything though has got better. The quality of everything has got better. The hops, the malts, the kits apparently are better. I haven't done a kit in a long while. I always got the kit. I can always used to be able to get noticeably the kit twang. And I had thought that was all down to, because I'm just doing kits, I didn't really have temperature control and didn't do them properly. But I have done that since. With the old firm fridge and putting the bucket into the firm fridge and having temperature control. You've got the kit twang. Obviously, the oxidation issue. I've never tried doing a kit in my steel fermenter with pressure transfer and such to try and eliminate as much oxygen contact as possible. So there may be less kit twang in it, but it's not temperature control, so it's probably, yes, the oxygen. Or it is just the liquid malt stuff that is, because it does change. It just doesn't sit great, does it? I don't know how they're looked after. In shops, they're just on a shelf. It depends what temperature the room's in. It can change all the time. So, how long they've been in the shop, where they've come from, and it's just a problem for it, isn't it? We all know it, but we all still do it. Same with beers. Our beer's well looked after. You'll get a beer from a shop and you go, oh, actually, their brewery's rubbish. They don't look after their beer. They didn't make a very good beer there. It might have been that they made a very good beer, and when they made it, it was very good. But getting to you, it's been so badly looked after and treated that it's turned shit. I mean, that's how things go. And yeah. Anyway, back to actual. I keep getting distracted, don't I? Off into tangents here and there. So, kit-wise, unbelievable. The changes that have happened in, well, yeah, say the last 10 years even, with the coming of things like the Grainfather initially, then the cheaper build, Robo Brews and all that, all the one kit builds, the proliferation on social media of how to make your 3 kit systems out of beer barrels, beer kegs, sorry, and such, and getting then the proliferation of shops selling stuff to make brewing systems up yourself, and then off the shelf brewing systems of all kinds that have come along. Fermentation possibilities now. I mean, I've got a bloody glycol chiller now. I would never have thought when I started doing the kits in like plastic demijohns that I used to wrap clothes around to try and keep the temperature in, that I would then one day be having a glycol chiller and a stainless steel fermenter. And certainly the wife didn't think that would be the case. So the whole explosion that happened in homebrewing with craft around the same time craft beer, so we had craft beer come along, we had Grainfather come along, and then they both kind of just caused a massive explosion of homebrewing and homebrewers. And then obviously with COVID, and people couldn't go out to the shops, to the pubs and stuff and enjoy themselves, so they stuck in. So they're buying beer, and are they buying just beer? No, because you got that time, let's try making our beer. We were all making bread. First bloody week, I think most of us started making bread during COVID. So next it was making beer. I mean, obviously there was a lot of us already doing so, and so obviously that was an explosion. Malt Miller really struggled through that, but they were brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant to get things done and actually let people know that what was happening, how you could get stuff, and see, I'll keep coming back to the Malt Miller because there's part of the journey in the UK for me, for what has happened with brewing and how it's developed in the UK. For the home market, they have been along the full journey themselves. Sadly, yes, we've lost a lot of the smaller little family-run businesses in back streets in small towns all over the country have disappeared, as have a lot of other things in this country since Brexit, since COVID, since financial crisis, since all these things have been hitting businesses and such since then, since everything. Yeah, it's been a fucking shit 50 years, I think. My whole life I've been a jinx on this fucking world for 50 years. I get the feeling. Yeah. So when it comes down to things like kit's just gone boom. You could have practically a brewery in your house, or shed, or garage, or wherever. You have your own brewery pretty much a scaled down version of an actual brewery and make absolutely cracking beer for maybe as little as what, $1,000, $2,000. I mean, that's a lot of money. $2,000. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, it's not like super cheap, is it? It's not like when you first thought, do you know what? It might be cheaper to make my own beer. As a hobby, it's not. It's bloody expensive. Looking around at my kit, Grandfather, I think when they first came out, I can't remember, were they 600, 650? Grandfather 650. The glycol chiller, I think I got that in a Black Friday, and I think that was about 600 as well, maybe 800. Fermenter was 500. Shed 400. Doing out the shed, another 200. A Keezer. The freezer itself was, I think, 300. Yeah, looking at that up. But, and this is a really dodgy but, I will admit, I did kind of do some rough maths in the shower a couple of weeks ago, and I was just thinking about making a keg of beer. Say a keg of American wheat. You go into a bar now and you buy, say, a pint of American wheat. Say you pay average £5 for that pint. So I'm making a keg of 19 litres. So for the sake of maths, I said 30 pints, I think. 35 pints at £5 a pint. So what's that? 150, say 160 quid. Cost of making the beer is, say, 30 quid. So there's a profit there, 125 quid. So I've saved 125 quid. So I always say that, so by making that, and I'll drink it, so every time I make the beer, it's 125 quid back in that I would have spent on that beer anywhere if I was in a pub. I mean, that's using the same argument that the likes of Sony, Universal and everything use when making claims against piracy. If that all these downloads, those people had gone to the cinema, we've lost this amount of money. It's a dodgy argument. Yeah. So I like to. That's the what I push towards the wife. She doesn't believe me, but I try and push it like that. That yeah, every time I make a keg of beer, it's 125 quid back in that I would have spent. She doesn't believe me, and I'm sure you don't either. But I try and use that. Glass is empty, so we shall have a Sanders APA. It's 18 minutes. I might make this a long one. I know you're going, oh, fuck off. Don't bore us anymore. To the next point I want to make about the homebrew community and homebrewing in general and how it's changed over the years. Obviously, when I said tried brewing when I was 18, which is what, 30 odd years ago, 33 years ago, 32 years ago now. You just followed, you bought the stuff, you'd seen your dad do it maybe. My dad had done the odd thing, made the odd kit. Well, I say that, he was allergic to alcohol. It made him sneeze every time he had a drink. It was really weird. It's not always amusing. He'd have like a sip of something and then the next thing he'd be like, mad. So he don't do it very often. But he'd made the odd wine and that, and oh yeah, my dad's mate, who had a son who was a year or two younger than me, but was a mate, and we used to play football together. And we was around his house. His dad had made a barrel of wine. It was very, very, very dangerous thing when it's in a garage with two 14 barrel I'll have been 14, he'll have been... No, I'll have been 15. No, I'll have been 14. I'll have been 14 and he'll have been 13, maybe 12. And we drank his dad's wine. He was in the garage and his pool table was in the garage. We were playing pool and drinking wine. And then the next thing I remember is lying in a pool of my own vomit in a field with a dog licking the vomit, and I had pockets full of M&Ms, bags of M&Ms. That was one point I remember in that journey, and they going home. And being put to bed, and waking up the next day, I had a big green bruise this whole size of my head, where apparently I'd just face planted a paving slab. And from that point, I did not drink until I was 18 years old, ever, even though it was offered, because that put me off. That was my first experience of home brewing, making wine and such. It was joy. I can't remember what they've done. Oh yeah, so this is the Sanders APA. It looks cracking. However, it's a fucking Westie. It wasn't meant to be a Westie, but I've got it at 30 IBUs and it's a bit fucking... for me, I'm more of a smoother, less bitter. I do remember the bitter craft times, and I wasn't as big a fan. I don't know, everyone was trying to outdo each other in IBUs. Can we get up to... How the hell were we drinking like 100 IBUs? Who the hell thought, yeah, let's track in 200 IBUs then and drink it and think, yeah, that's how a beer should be. That's a beer, a man's beer. Okay, now this is 30 and at 4.5%, and I'm like, ooh, a bit bitter for me. And it is that proper Westie bitterness where it just like, it's nice, it's clean, it's lovely and fruity, and then afterwards it's just like, it grabs you around the throat kind of bitterness, and in the tongue and in the mouth it just dries out and just goes, you're bitter. So it's pretty much a Westie. I guess this is what you would call a hybrid Westie, cross between a New England and a Westie. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be more New England, so I'm not really enjoying that one at all. But I will soldier on and drink it, because as I say, I'm a functional alcoholic. That's what I do, drink beer. Right, yeah, so going back to, that was how I remember the start of things, and that's, but you didn't really get instructions until social media came along. That helped. I mean, I built a Keezer. I could barely build Lego sets, to be honest. I'm not the greatest at DIY, but I have managed to put together this shed, this Keezer, all the gas lines and everything for it with the CO2. I have a handful with all the lines for it, and I do still spirits, I can make whiskies, etc. All because of social media and YouTube. Just watching people showing me how to make these. I mean, I used to have an old firm fridge, and I can't remember what it's called. I'm just looking to see if I can see the box. No, I put it in the shed. STC 1000. How to wire up an STC 1000 to make a firm fridge in a little box with two sockets on top. So you plug your hot and your cold in with an STC 1000. I did that. I actually managed to do that. Bought the little box and all the bits and made the video, watched the video and built it. Shit like that. I wouldn't have known how to do any of that without social media, and that has been an absolute lifeblood for a lot of things, I guess. Anything, you want to make anything, you want to build anything, you want to try anything, you check YouTube. Is there an instructional video? There is. If it's not bloody Dickie doing it in Dude's Brews, then it's probably never been tried. But yeah, there is usually a video, an instructional video for it. So that and the increased quality of hops and malts, and the fact that yes, you get the malts now, they're so purely modified, and the variety of hops and the quality of them and the quality of the storage of them is, you can make fantastic beers now, absolute amazing beers, close to and with the equipment as well, you can make close to commercial beers. And I mean close to, as in the quality is spot on. Absolutely. That, from, say, when the stuff I was doing when I was early 18, I was going to say early 20s, but I'd stopped. But in my 18s, that was just fucking crap. And the stuff I tried, by the way, I can never have rosé wine ever again. I've never been able to face it. That was what it was. Funny enough, the wife's favourite wine is rosé. See, that's one of the reasons why we get on. I can never touch her wine, and she doesn't touch my beer. Yeah, it's magnificent. There's just a growth from what we used to do to what we can produce now in the home market are pretty reasonable. I mean, yes, prices have shot up of late, and we're all complaining about them. I think it was only today, I think Dude's Brew was saying he just bought some lager malt. Dickie was saying he bought some lager malt and it cost 46 quid delivered. Yeah, it's fucking expensive, isn't it? But the quality of that grain is going to be phenomenal, isn't it? Compared to what it would have been 30 years ago, 20 years ago even, probably. Maybe even 10, I don't know that far. But there we go. We're at half an hour. Fucking hell, that went quick. As for me anyway, probably won't for you, it'll be a fucking drain. And so I will probably say thanks if you've got this far, thanks for watching. And I haven't really said a lot, have I? I haven't really made many claims or anything, other than that I think the world of homebrew is changing, but it always has been changing. Obviously the era of the boots homebrews has long passed. The era of just doing kits has passed. The era of the early all grain brewing has passed. We're now into the next era of all grain brewing. I mean, you can see the change in the way things are just watching the brew tubers. Some of the more modern, I know, this is something, I might be dragging this out a bit longer now. Sorry, because Big Banana did touch on the fact that YouTubers, modern YouTubers, are getting their stuff down almost like commercial TV, using the likes of editing suites and stuff to get the colour right, get the colours right, get the sound with the microphones. Unlike this is my phone. I'm just talking to my phone on a small tripod. I used to use a GoPro, but I had issues, and yeah, it's a bit shit, the GoPro now. It's a bit knackered, but the phone is quite a new phone. S21, Samsung S21. So it's a pretty good phone and has a pretty good video, and the sound isn't too bad. I hear it back, although I am thinking of getting like a little wireless mic thing put there, just to improve it just a little bit, because it isn't great. And I do a lot of this still. Yeah, I don't know how long I've been doing it now. It's 6 years, 7 years. Yeah, I think I've done 6 years on and off. I mean, I hit times where I'll just leave it for maybe 6 months, and then I'll come back and then start banging them out again, and fade off, and then bring them back again. It just is that. Then you get the likes of like Big Banana, Tube Dino, obviously Harry, just banging them out, still banging them out. Harry's just amazing, isn't he? I mean, all the stuff he does he get that off YouTube as well? Probably does. I mean, the initial how-tos, but he'll then go into the regulations and everything. That at the minute, talking about his builds, his house build and how to do that, that'll be a deep dive. But I imagine he started like YouTube videos to see how to do it. Yeah, everyone's YouTubing. It is the thing. Yeah, the quality, the YouTube videos. It is. I do this just for fun. And therapy, I think. A little bit of therapy there. There's times I need to just sit here, talk absolute shit with a pint in my hand, staring at my camera. It's basically looking at myself, talking to myself. It was a bit odd, I know. But I don't think I'm looking at myself. I think of myself looking at you. Yeah. Yeah. I know, it's a bit odd. But I'm trying to provide something interesting, but I'm also wanting to talk about something that I'm really interested in and passionate about. And that's when I stop, when I lose the passion and I just fade a bit. Obviously, like at the minute, I've been really passionate about Novalag, so I'm like banging on about Novalag, doing the brews, doing the videos to talk about it. Because it seems like something new and exciting that will change a lot of things, maybe even in the commercial world. It certainly changed things for me. Beers have, and I use that book a lot, I know, the Greg Hughes, but it's all about styles. I like to get an idea of a style rather than a particular beer. So if I get the style, an idea of the style, then I can just do what I want with it myself. Whereas a particular beer is a particular beer. I like the broad strokes of it, to be honest, so I can move then. It's that idea of like, right, so this is a beer. These are the parameters of that beer. Okay, there's very little playroom inside that parameter. Whereas this is a type of beer. This is a style down here. So I've got all this playroom inside those parameters. I mean, I could even go out of the edges of those parameters if I want, and that's the fun for me. To try the styles and then to play around in between those parameters to see what I want. I'd also like to start doing a beer, similar to how Big Banana has. He has his lager that he plays with and chucks new hop in with it and tries it differently. I do want a house drink, and as it has been for a long time now, it has been the basically Harry's beer. So, and I've kind of just played with the hops on that, riffed around, trying different hops with it, because that malt bill was really nice and worked well with whatever you wanted to try. But I am determined now to sit down and start with a beer. I mean, Cutter's Choice, he has sat there brew after brew after brew trying to nail his version of, and I can't remember what it's fucking called. I've got the beer made and it's going to kill me and I'll come back to it. But yeah, this is one of the things, talking to a screen whilst drinking beer, you kind of forget where you are. You kind of, you know what you're trying to talk about, and then you'll get a word and you'll be stuck for a word, but you'll be trying to do it on screen and it stresses your mind and it closes it and you try to forget it. So you need to relax a bit. And I can see it. Oh, I had it on the tip of my tongue then. I could see the label then. Oh, that's bad. I try to just relax my mind away from it. Think about it, not think about it. Proper job. There you go. I had it. So he has proper jobbish. And he's been trying to nail that beer to the perfect point for him. I mean, I don't know whether he's trying to get it exactly like proper job or whether he's trying to get it to like proper job, but exactly like he wants it to be. Which is what I think I do with beer. Like, take a style and go, yeah, I like that style, and I brewed it out of that book, but I drop the IBU slightly maybe, but we'll tweak that. I mean, I'm just thinking now, this is probably as bitter as, say, Adnam's Ghost or Proper Job. They both are, just for me, just a little too bitter. I guess I have quite a sweet tooth these days. It's the only thing I have a sweet tooth for is beer. And that's, yeah, that's, I say, for me, is a little bitter. So, but there we go. I'd like to sit down and nail a beer, and I don't know really what it is I want to nail or get right or get thing. Because then something will happen, like the Nova Lager East, I'll go off on a tangent for like months, just trying that, doing that in different beers. And like I did with the Quake, once that came, I was doing everything with Quake, trying faster beers, stronger beers, higher temperature beers, lower temperature beers, just playing with the stuff. I mean, that's the thing I enjoy, the playing with stuff, just the experimentation. And with YouTube and the proliferation of people doing stuff, I have to agree, I do like the people who are passionate and see what they're doing. And it's not just about, oh, you've got to have a nice video and push to me. I quite happily like the guy in the shed, guy in his garage, just talking, as long as he's got something interesting to say. So, I'm talking about you, Mr. Scotch Pie. I am. I do love your videos at the minute, especially about the salamis and that, and the sausage making. It's really got me wanting to do that. Yeah, right. We're nearly at 40 minutes, so I am going to stop it now. It's just over 35, so I will say, I think the industry for home brewing is as strong as ever, if not stronger. Certainly with the number of companies and businesses that are producing equipment, the number of businesses selling actual supplies these days has dwindled in this country, and has become more centralized. Yes, that is a risk and possibly a bad thing. Some of the changes that have happened in that area have been good. There are things about it that I still think that are brilliant. I mean, Malt Miller, and we're back to Malt Miller, aren't I? I'm back to Malt Miller. They used to just do, spend £100, you get free postage. If you don't, you're paying this. And it was like a price. And you're like, oh, okay, so everyone's like clubbed together to spend £100. And I'd like, me and my mate would like get things. And I'm getting an order in. Do you want anything so I can get up to £100? But now you can buy like 4 packets of yeast. And they've got postage options now. Things are evolving. Things are changing. They are looking at changing things and that. And they are brewers, essentially. Essentially they're a business, but the people behind it are still brewers. They're still excited about beer, making beer and making homebrew. So I think it's in a good place, Malt Miller. I think homebrewing in this country is in a good place at the minute. It certainly seems to be with the people that I watch, the people I see on the videos, the people that are making videos, the people who are in the forums, the people in Facebook, YouTube. It seems that brewing itself is in a good place. Some of the people aren't. Some of us have. There's a problem when you're a functional alcoholic. You have your mental problems, you have your issues, you have your hard times, your fights, the struggles to balance drinking with life, which a lot of us do. So for all of you that are out there with that, cheers, I support you fully. I know where you're coming from. There's days I just need to stop and rest, leave it, walk away, don't have a beer, and leave it for a week. I think that's probably the longest I've ever done it since I turned 18. No, tell a lie. I was smoking some interesting cigarettes whilst I lived in Egypt. Oh no, right, I'm going to leave it. So it's over 40 minutes, so this has been me talking twaddle for 40 minutes, and if you've watched, fucking hell, I hope you're alright. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.